Welcome to the Luxury Listing Specialist Podcast with Michael LaFido, where top luxury agents reveal their best practices, plus interviews with real estate industry influencers, thought leaders, and luxury marketing experts. You'll come away from each episode with new strategies and tactics to dominate high-end homes in any market. And now for the latest episode of Luxury Listing Specialist. Here's your host, luxury real estate expert, coach, and trainer, Michael LaFido.
Welcome back to another episode of the Luxury Listing Specialist Podcast. I'm your host, Michael LaFido. You're in the right spot if you're an agent, a team leader, a broker owner, and you want to increase your average sale price, whether you work with buyers and sellers or both, and you want to work smarter, not harder. Again, if you're getting value from this podcast or previous podcasts, please leave us a like, leave us a review. We can always use more of those, whether it be on iTunes or Google or Spotify or Stitcher. Please leave us a like, leave us a review. And as always, if you have a question, a comment, you want to nominate somebody that you think would be a great guest, or you want me to cover a topic that perhaps you want more insight on, or maybe we haven't covered, please shoot me an email, Michael@Marketing Luxury Group, Michael@Marketing Luxury Group. And don't forget, if you are serious about taking your business to the next level, you should consider getting certified in luxury. Go to luxurylistingspecialist.com, luxurylistingspecialist.com. All right, today's guest, I'm really excited to bring Jennifer on, and to set the stage, so to speak. Jennifer, in 2019, December of 2019, Jennifer and I were at the same brokerage here in Chicagoland, and we're not at the same brokerage anymore, and she's at a different brokerage than me today, but we still collaborate, and we don't have a scarcity mindset. And I consider her not only a friend, but a former student that is one of my best students ever. She's an implementer. But at the time, I forgot just before we started recording this that Jennifer reminded me that, she was down to her last $50, and she basically said to me, "Hey, Mike, I want to take your course, but I'm, finances are tight. I have a couple deals in the pipeline. Would you consider if I paid you down the road, so to speak?" And from time to time, if we know the guest and we know the attendee or who the host is, we might be willing to be creative with some of our luxury designation trainings. And in this case, we were, and I'm glad that we were. And I know Jennifer is as well. So we have Jennifer Williams out of the Chicagoland suburbs. She's currently with Coldwell Banker. Jennifer, thank you for attending today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate you being today's guest. And so tell everybody how long you've been licensed for. When did you get your real estate license?
2005.
2005. And from time to time, I have guests that are, your $1 million agents, your top luxury agents. And sometimes guests can relate, sometimes they can't. But today's guest is for those listeners that perhaps aren't luxury specialists yet, but they have the grit, they have the determination, they're hungry, they want to get there. And Jennifer, I think, defines that grit. She was, licensed since 2005, and she shared with me before we started. She was basically selling about $1 million in volume. And then her and I met in December of 2019. And then her next year, 2020, she was about 3 million in volume, and she's on pace to be about 4 million this year. And she's going to share with us her grit and how she went from, rock bottom and worked out of that tough place where sometimes we can get to, whether it be finances, whether it be relationship, whatever it might be, and how she got out of that. And fast forward to today, she's got a $5 million listing, a trophy listing. Most of our listeners will, I hope you get a $5 million listing, but statistically, Jennifer is definitely in the top 5% of agents across the country that won't ever get a $5 million listing. So kudos to her for that. Before we go into how she got that, let's talk about that place that we don't necessarily like talking about. But Jennifer, share with everybody a little bit about where you were at when you approached me in December of 2019, where you literally, what you shared with me, had about $50 left to your name, where you wanted to really take this course that we created called LUXE, or Luxury Listing Specialist.
A series of unfortunate events ended up having literally $50 in my wallet. Saw your email and for your course, wanted to take it, thought it was a good investment. It was that investment. I liken it to going and buying that lottery ticket, the winning lottery ticket with your last dollar. It was an investment into me. And I hadn't done that in so many years. I hadn't taken that leap. It was such low self-esteem, you name it, it was happening in my life. And talked with you. You said, you know what? I'll work with you on this. I was open. I shared my little bit of my struggle, nothing too in detail, just you knew, you got it. And you were willing to give me that opportunity. And I'm thankful because for that, it sparked, if this guy is willing to believe in me, my friends, my family, I had that everybody was close to me, were always supportive. They were always right there. They knew my struggles, but here we really hadn't talked, maybe a handful of times if that, and gave me the opportunity. Here I am.
Well, first off, thanks for sharing this. And I think your story can inspire and help other agents. Life, there's a lot of turbulence in life. It's, I when I do my trainings, I talk about how life is almost like that video game that's very popular. My kids aren't playing it as much now, but Fortnite, your energy levels deplete and you got to drink this magical drink. And, for some people it's coffee, and others it's working out. But mindset is so important. And so that's one of the things that we teach in our trainings, Jennifer. Talk to me. You shared with, I believe, Gina, I gave you that opportunity, but maybe talk to people that don't know who Michael LaFido is, maybe listening for the first time. You went through this course, and we have a lot of podcasts out there. This is number 160 something, 160 plus podcast. But talk to me a little bit about the mindset, how we worked on your mindset, how we worked on directly and maybe indirectly your self-esteem to give you that boost to look at high-end and luxury differently. It's as something that was attainable that perhaps you hadn't even thought was attainable before. Because again, you're in the southern suburbs of Chicago. There's not a ton of $5 million plus properties where you're from, let alone $1.5 million are unique. So talk to me a little bit about that change, that tweak that went inside from attending our courses that helped you triple your volume within a year.
It was, one of the biggest things that come to mind was in going through your course and having the confidence, they started looking at other things. They started looking at things differently. One of the biggest comments in your course is garbage in, garbage stays, and how we talk to ourselves and how we talk to our clients. What our clients are interested in is what's in it for me, the WIFM. So there are different things going through your course, and it's not a quick and easy course. It's not an 8-hour or 4-hour course. Just attend it for a day. You have to get this designation, you really have to want to up your game. You have to want to have that. You have that drive. You have that desire to be and reach your highest potential, and that's what it is. To get to that, you have to change your mindset, focus, and want that drive. Your biggest competition is yourself. And I saw this listing, chased after it, got it, had other listing agents that were fighting for it as well. I didn't care who they were because my only competition is me. And in going through and having the confidence in your course helped me to get that listing. Now, there were so many quotes that I used, so many different things. I took yours, I took mine, and I put them together and developed a plan. And I have it.
So first off, congratulations. So you got this $5 million listing. It's in what town?
Oak Brook,
Illinois. And by the way, I know the town it's in because I'm helping Jennifer on this.
It's in Villa Vincenza. You know it well.
So it's a $5 million property. You had some amazing photos and you had a video done. It's been featured in various publications. But before we get into the actual property itself, you went from being in a slump, to use a baseball analogy, to being, down a little bit, down to your last $50. And a short time later, less than 2 years later, you got yourself a $5 million listing. You're going on a $600,000 buyer appointment today. I mean, you basically increased your average sale price from 200 to 350 in less than 2 years. Now, again, some people might say, well, that doesn't sound like a whole lot from 2 to 350, but if you do the math, I mean, basically, I mean, the percent of increase, I mean, you're looking at is huge. And that's what I teach agents all the time. Like, how many of you would like to increase your average commission by 30%, right? That's basically what you've done is you've taken that and you're not just increasing it, by 50, by 30%, by 50%, by 75%, is you've increased your average transaction size, which is amazing. And my math, that's quick math. It's even larger than that. But regardless, talk to me about day in and day out. Here I am, a male father, okay, husband. I like having different guests from different backgrounds on. And as you mentioned earlier, earlier in 2021, I helped found a designation for diversity called CDS, Certified Diversity Specialist, which you took that course. And during the launching of it in March of 2021, I taught a couple bonus modules on increasing your average sale price and breaking into luxury. And you mentioned before we started recording some comments, people were naysayers or they couldn't relate. And they tend to focus on, where they're at versus, hey, let's keep an open mind. And depending on where everybody's at, we too could perhaps implement these ideas, some of them, all of them, even one or two of them, and make a difference in our career. So talk to me a little bit about that.
It's interesting. People look at you at this point and, luxury listings and LUXE Designation, luxury listing specialists. And you also have people that will say, oh, it's easy for you to say, look where you're at now. You're Michael LaFido. It's not always true. They don't always know what led up to that. And even I'm perfect scenario. I didn't have luxury listings when I first broke into this. I didn't have a $5 million listing. I didn't have all this, and I started pretty much with nothing. And here we are because of the course, but I mean, yes, there were outside influences as well too, but
Sure.
The tweaking of and giving the tools that I needed in order to have the confidence to move forward. It is true. Just because you don't have that luxury listing now, how are you going to get it if you never go try for it? The answer is always no if we don't ask. So have that confidence, get up and go do it. Go chase after it, believe in yourself, arm yourself with the knowledge and go.
Yeah,
Make it happen.
Great points. So mindset is huge. I can't tell you guys listening enough. Mindset. Vince Lombardi said, confidence is contagious, so is lack thereof. So, you have to be confident. And when you grow your knowledge, your confidence grows. I say that all the time, grow your knowledge and your confidence grows. So what are you listening to? What are you reading? Jennifer hit the nail on the head. I always say garbage in, garbage stays, unfortunately. So what are you listening to? What are you reading? What are you watching? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Sometimes people have a toxic environment, your team, your organization. What's their focus? And that's really key for you to really take your business to the next level as we're going into the next year, as your business planning for next year, you're looking back at your goals. Maybe some of your goals were met, some of them weren't, maybe all of them were met, maybe all of them weren't met. So depending on where each of you are listening to this, I challenge you to look at your environment, look at who you're surrounded with, look at your brokerage, look at your team. Literally, I saw a quote the other day, and I took, I do a lot of screenshots on my phone if I see something I thought was really great. And I saw this screenshot that, really hit home for me. And I'm looking it up as we speak, but it's basically talking about the environment that you're in. If your environment, if the people that you're surrounding yourself with aren't supportive to you, if they're not supportive, then you should really consider getting into another team, another organization. In other words, they should be building you up and see the best in you. And if they don't, you should consider another office, another team, another organization.
Hi, it's Michael LaFido here with a quick break from the podcast. If you are committed to increasing your average sale price and you want to work smarter, not harder, then you want to check out LuxuryListingSpecials.com, where you'll find out more information about the LUXE designation along with some additional resources. Again, I'll repeat, check out LuxuryListingSpecials.com. And now let's get back to the show.
Talk to me about this $5 million property. Talk to me about the actual, people want to know, how did you even get the opportunity? Was this a referral? Was this a canceled and expired? Was this a sign call, an internet lead? How did you get the opportunity?
So I send out, the way that I got this particular listing is I send out note cards, handwritten note cards, because nobody knows how much you care until you show them how much you care. And it wasn't expired. And what I did was I used the Michael LaFido fresh eyes approach and really took a look at what the previous listing agent had done with this property and lack thereof, and took and pitched me. And the sellers had stated that they had looked up my LUXE designation. They had looked me up on the internet. They had double checked what a CDS was before they let me even in the door. And I'm with Coldwell Banker Global Luxury, and the sellers had contacted my office in Chicago and wanted to make sure that I was actually with them.
I mean, these people were as skeptical as you can imagine. So their home had been on the market before. I won't go into details, but basically there was some under delivering in their experience. So they were a little skeptical. And so they verified your resources. They verified that you had the LUXE designation. They verified that you were with Coldwell Banker in Chicago. Yes. Is that correct?
Yes. Before they even let me in the door, they wanted to make sure I was who I said I was. And sat down with them and had a meeting, which was very transparent, and showed them, our promotional, all of the things that we offer, all the different things I'm involved in, and we hit it off. We didn't get it right away. I didn't get the phone call back the next day. It took 4 long days to hear back.
Yeah. So in this case, you did partner up with me. You brought me in.
Yes.
And we collaborated in team approach as far as you talked about fresh eyes analysis a few minutes ago. So one of the things that I recommend to you guys listening, you ladies listening to this, is not just with potential clients listing, but look at your current active listings if you have any that are still active, and bring in a colleague, bring in someone you like and trust, and have them poke holes through it, so to speak, and figure out what you could do better to position the home. Is there anything that you need to tweak, modify, improve? I call it a SWOT analysis. SWOT, S stands for strengths. So what are the strengths of the home? Are you emphasizing those? What are the weaknesses? That's what W stands for. Are you downplaying those? What are some opportunities for you to market this home, or locally, or what's going on in the news, or what are some hot topics? That's opportunities. And then threats. Threats could be, what are the comparables that pull your number down, and how can you differentiate your listing? So SWOT analysis. So Jennifer and I spend time looking at this home, looking at what the strengths are. How could we put together a marketing plan, right? And you and I talked about what we should do, and you presented that in a way, and they hired you.
Yep. Yes. And looking forward to, we're having our first major event November 17th. And so looking forward to that as well.
Yeah. So we're having an event on Wednesday, November 17th. This podcast may or may not be released by then, but you're having an event at the house. So before we talk about the event, the home was listed for a little over a year previously.
Yes.
And they had one showing, and they didn't even think it was a real legitimate buyer showing, correct?
Right. There was always these people that had interest, and the agent had a different mindset than the sellers did. And
Mhm.
sellers do. We're more on the same page. Whether I agree with my sellers, or which I do in this case, but whether I agree with my clients or not, it's my client's wishes. I need to act in my client's best interest,
Yeah,
not my own personal best
yeah.
interest.
They always put the client's best interest in mind. Now, mind you, if you know the best interest, in other words, if it needs to be staged or painted, like I have a $3 million listing right now, and the interior I think needs thoroughly painted, I think that's in the seller's best interest. So I'm going to share that with them, even though I know that might not make them happy, because at the end of the day, I'd sleep better at night knowing I presented them an option, a solution, so to speak, to help increase their probability of selling faster, and more importantly, netting them more money. And so, but in the end of the day, we got to respect their wishes if they say no to it. And so, Jennifer, they had about one showing in over a year. You've been on how long so far?
We're about sitting at 60 days right now.
About 2 months, and you've already had 2 qualified showings in 60 days.
Yep.
And they had 1 in over a year, and you've had 2 in 60 days. And so again, it's quality over quantity. And that was one of the things that, Jennifer and I, when we met with the sellers, we told them, it's your price point naturally in that $5 million price point. It's not going to be a showing a week. It's going to be quality over quantity. And that's one of the things that we're proud of, is we don't tell sellers what they want to hear, but what they needed to hear in a professional way. But we don't sugarcoat things, and we don't tell people what they want to hear. So you got this $5 million listing, and then talk to me about event-based marketing, which is one of our modules in our designation, LUXE Designation. You can check it out at luxurylistingspecialist.com, Luxury Listing Specialist. In our designation, by the way, which requires 0 luxury sales before
That is true.
you take the course. The first 7 modules are ways to attract more listings, and modules 8 through 16 are, hey, you got this unique listing, this high-end listing. What are you going to do to get it sold? And one of those ways is event-based marketing. So talk to me about the event that you're having here in a few weeks, and what you hope to accomplish. Sometimes events are there to get the home sold. Other times it's there to make the sellers feel like you're working hard for them. Or sometimes people do these events to get direct feedback from agents. So now you're not the bad guy, but you're saying, hey, we had 20 something people through. The vast majority are telling us the same thing. So what's your goal in this event? Is it some of what I mentioned, or all the above?
All the above and more. I'm looking for the exposure as well, the exposure for the property. We'll have an event photographer there, so we can push out to say, from a unique standpoint, how many agents really do this? I mean, there's not too many agents that take the extra investment and, invite their colleagues, invite their peers, agents that are qualified to come, that would also have qualified buyers to come into the property as well. It's not just an open house, it's invite only. And we'll have food, and we have custom curated cocktails specific for the property. Drink Blue Blazer, or at Drink Blue Blazer on Instagram, is doing our custom labels and all of our custom beverages that we're going to be offering. We're having charcuterie from Caputo's. Yeah, so we keep with that Italian flair.
Yeah, and this home has got a Mediterranean, Italian, Tuscan look and feel to it. And one of the things that Jennifer and I did is, I create a lot of these before and after books, right, that take a home before they hired us and then after they hired us, because one of the things we feel like we're really strong at doing is getting sellers on board to neutralize and make their home appeal to the masses versus appeal to the buyers that have that same decorating style and taste as their home. So, but there's no doubt about it, the exterior of this home leads to the feel that Mediterranean Italian look and feel. So the other thing that I talk to you about is, hey, you're making this investment for time and energy. This could be an opportunity for you, through photography and video, to help position yourself on social media to help you secure those future opportunities, those future listings, correct?
Yes, that is correct. And then we pushed it out on social media quite a bit, to the point where an event that I was at over the weekend, or on Thursday, actually was, I've had people come up to me talking about it, talking about my social media, talking about Villa Vincenza and how unique the property is, and hoping to get an invite to our event and hoping to see it. If you push out your social media, you create your own awareness as well. If you do it yourself, you do it from your gut, from your heart, and the more awareness you create, the more people, the more buzz, the more people that are going to come to you with their listings, have their confidence when they're choosing you, or when they're asking you to come sit down with them, that you know what you're talking about.
You're absolutely right. Grow your knowledge, your confidence will grow. So be a student of the game. You can leverage other people's properties until you have your own. So attending other people's broker opens helps build your confidence. Maybe volunteering. Jennifer, you've hosted open houses at my $1 million plus listings in the
Yes.
past.
And posted about it on social media. And made sure to push it out. I had people asking, hey, what do you know about this property? Well, this is what I do know about the property because I was there.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, just to give the audience, we talked a little bit about your sales volume, and this is what how many $1 million homes have you sold through your career so far?
0.
So Jennifer still hasn't sold a $1 million home, but she hasn't, what I like is she doesn't blink about it, right? She's not worried about it yet. She 0 yet is the one thing. If I were to finish her sentence, she hasn't sold any yet. And what was your highest price listing before taking this $5 million listing?
The highest price would have been about $400,000.
So guys, look at this. I mean, this is why I have her on here. She was an agent that was in a slump. She had $50 in her name, and she got a $5 million listing. She got a $600,000 buyer she's taking out today. In her market, the average sale price in the MLS is probably in the 300 range, 250 to 300. So some of you might say, well, 600,000, that's below average in your market, but it's all relative. Luxury is all relative. And so that's why we define luxury home pricing as pricing that is 3 times the average sale price for your given area. So Jennifer's got this amazing $5 million listing. She's not afraid to invest in herself. And, literally, I taught a 3-hour continuing education class last week from the time we're recording this. It was in Florida for Florida Association of Realtors. An insurance company brought me in through a Zoom training, and we did a 3-hour. And I literally we had 100 slots. It was free. And they pushed it out to thousands of agents, and we had about 50 sign up for a free 3-hour training. And out of those 50, I take that back. We had 80 signed up. Out of those, we had about 50 attend. So a lot of no-shows because they had no skin in the game is where I'm going with it. They had no skin in the game. And then I had an agent that attended. She was complaining because they had to fill out a test. Florida Association of Realtors, when you do a live training in person, you don't have to take a test for a CE, but when you do a Zoom training, you have to. And she said goodbye, basically like, no, thank you. Like she was mad at me that like I was the one that was forcing her to take this test. And my point is, when you don't have skin in the game, you're not as committed. You don't appreciate things as well. And so Jennifer had skin in the game. She was willing to be creative. She was invested. And she shared with you her mindset that she had to pick herself up and she had to continue to feed herself what she was reading, what she was listening to. She attended events, and she went from a struggling agent, and she tripled her volume the next year. And this year, she's even going to beat her last year's record volume. And she was very transparent with you. And so I want you to share that you too can go after these high ends. You got to believe you can. You got to have an infrastructure. You got to have a team, a support system. She did an old-fashioned handwritten note, and she got the appointment, and she got the listing, and she's going to get it sold. So Jennifer, I greatly appreciate your time and your energy. And for somebody that wants to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to do so, Jennifer?
They can either call me or send me a text message, number 708-710-9266, or find me on Instagram at Jennifer Williams Broker.
And one more time, the contact information.
708-710-9266, or on Instagram at Jennifer Williams Broker.
Guys, you too can take your business from where you are today to attracting $5 million listings. Never sold $1 million property. Highest listing ever was in the 400s until today. That is why I had her on. I want her story to resonate with you, that you too could be that next Jennifer Williams. My name is Michael LaFido. Keep raising the bar in real estate. If you have any questions about today's guest, today's topic, please shoot me an email, michael@marketingluxurygroup.com, michael@marketingluxurygroup.com. Keep raising the bar in real estate. And again, tune out those naysayers. Could be a significant other, could be a former ex, whatever. And as I like to say, like the sign behind me says, prove them wrong, prove others wrong. Until next time, my name is Michael LaFido. You guys have a great audience. Keep it up. And please leave us a like, leave us a review on our book on Amazon or our podcast on iTunes. Michael LaFido, take care. We'll talk to you soon.